Splatoon 3 has been out for a while now, and while I really enjoy the game, there are a few things that are lacking to say the least. I understand that we're going to be getting content updates every few months, along with an updated catalog, and that the devs are most likely saving some of the things I'm going to talk about for those, but I still feel like just a bit more could have been added before release, and there are some other things we just don't have yet and may never get. And I get it, adding a lot more into the game at launch would probably make the game feel bloated to some people, but that really just depends on how much more they added. Today, I'm going to talk about a few things I want to see get added into Splatoon 3. This is going to range from new and old gear to new features and even a few returning ones. First, we'll talk about a returning feature, Squid Beats, or at least some sort of jukebox feature. For any new players out there, Squid Beats was a little rhythm game you could play at a machine in the hub area in previous games. Now granted, it was a really simple rhythm game, but it had its charms. It also had the function of just not playing the game and instead listening to the music. Now, if they didn't want to go through all the effort of adding in an entire rhythm game, which is understandable since we have Table Turf Battle, then they could just add in a jukebox feature where we could listen to the tracks in the game. It seems like this was at least planned at some point, since an unused jukebox model can be found in the game's files. And I mean, come on, they make it a point to tell us that we have phones, but then make them useless. This would be a good way to give the phone a use while also letting players just chill out and listen to their favorite tunes. Here's a little mock-up I made showing what I think the UI could potentially look like if they were to go this route. The next thing I want to talk about is gear, namely returning gear. But before that, there is one major issue with gear that I want to talk about. In the previous games, there were sets of gear that were exclusive to Japan. These sets of gear were only available through certain promotional events, magazines, and of course, 7-Eleven. There were even design contests to make a new set of gear that we just didn't get outside of Japan. Now, since all of this gear was exclusive to Japan, a large portion of the player base just couldn't get them. You couldn't even order the gear from merch either because it was exclusive gear like the Grizzco and Amiibo gear is. We haven't seen this yet in Splatoon 3 thankfully, since the game is so new, but hopefully they've learned from the past and released promotional gear in all regions. Considering Splatfests are no longer region locked, I have pretty high hopes for this. Speaking of promotional gear, Squid Girl. For those unaware, Splatoon 1 had an exclusive set of gear available in all regions based on the design of Ika Musume from the anime Squid Girl. Squid Girl is a manga and anime series following the titular Squid Girl, an invader from the sea. In May of 2015, a collaboration between Splatoon and Squid Girl was announced, and a free set of gear was subsequently released. This gear was awesome! The shoes were super unique, the dress was really cute and looked just like Squid Girl's, and that hat! This was my main piece of headgear in the game because of how cool it was. It also had Opening Gambit, which was a really nice bonus. This collaboration also got me to watch the Squid Girl anime, which I really enjoyed. So with that said, I want the Squid Girl crossover gear to finally make its return after 7 years. 7 years? Has it really been that long since Splatoon 1? I don't know what sort of agreements they need to make with the author and publisher of the series, but considering that the series has been dormant since 2014, it's probably not likely unless they do a reboot or something. I guess the only real way we'd get it back in the game is if fans petition for it or something, but would people even care or know about this anime? I don't think so. But if you haven't seen Squid Girl yet, I highly recommend it. It's a really chill and funny series, and it's short at only 12 episodes. Or, you know, we could get a collaboration with another ocean-themed anime. You know, One Piece? Here's some art of Luffy-themed gear I drew. Feel free to spread this around the internet in hopes of getting it in the game or something. I don't know, man. If you're a One Piece fan and you want this gear in the game, just ask Nintendo nicely, I guess. Probably won't work, but you can try. Speaking of gear, take a look at this. I'm proposing the idea of cosmetic gear, namely headgear. Splatoon 3 made looking the way you want while having the abilities you want extremely easy thanks to being able to use ability chunks to change the main ability of a piece of gear. However, there's still just a bit more that they can do. I think that letting players use certain pieces of gear in combination with each other would be a great way to allow for just that bit of extra customization. Take for instance being able to wear a hat or mask and also being able to wear glasses. Actually, this idea originally stemmed from the fact that I myself wear glasses, and on top of that, there's this official concept art of an Inkling wearing the studio headphones and gas mask together. There's also Agents 1 and 2 if you want to get into that, but those are special characters, so count that if you want. This would have been such a cool idea in previous games, especially with that golden toothpick for beating the Octo expansion. I always wanted to use that piece of gear, but I wouldn't be able to wear glasses, or even one of my favorite pieces of gear, the skull bandana. Heck, I even made one in real life, see? Imagine just how cool it would be to see someone wearing something like this with a pair of goggles, or the previously mentioned studio headphones and gas mask combo. Obviously, you'd only get the abilities from one piece of gear to prevent players from getting an unfair advantage. I'd imagine this working something like having a main slot of gear that you get the abilities from, and a sub-slot of gear that works purely cosmetically. Come on, Nintendo, this needs to be a feature in the game. Give us glasses wearers some more representation. Also, add more glasses into the game, we don't have enough options already. Speaking a bit more on gear, there's really just not a lot in Splatoon 3. I've had days where over half of each shop is full of duplicate items, which didn't really happen in previous games until a few years in. I think they should have launched the game with just a few dozen more pieces of gear, be it new or returning. Personally, I'd like to see the Skull Bandana Maker return, or maybe that previously mentioned Squid Girl set. I know they're probably saving gear for the quarterly updates along with the catalog, but still, just a few more pieces would have been nice. As for potential new pieces of gear, well, there's a lot of it actually. Just take a look at any of the art books and you'll see plenty of pieces of gear that haven't been added into the game, even after 7 years. 3 new pieces of gear I'd really like to see get added into the game are the outfit that Harmony's wearing. This is mostly because she's got really unique clothing that I think could work for any character. And also she's best girl. Give me her clothes. That didn't sound right. I'm not putting that in the video. This is because she's best girl. I want that shirt she's wearing. That is, like, this is not scripted right now. That is such a cool shirt. Look at that thing. I mean, come on. It's the background image I'm using for these videos. I mean, the hat's cool. The shoes are okay. But that shirt? That is an awesome shirt. You cannot convince me otherwise. So enough about just gear. Now for a new feature. Do you have a bunch of useless food or drink tickets lying around? Tired of getting the same one over and over? Well, I'm proposing an idea in which you can exchange food or drink tickets for another food or drink ticket. Obviously, drink tickets would be a direct conversion from one type to another. Say for example, taking a useless sub-resistance up ticket and exchanging it for an ink recovery up ticket. This would make it a lot easier to grind for certain types of ability chunks. As for food tickets, I'm not exactly sure how this would go. I feel like having them directly be able to convert into a different type of ticket would be kind of weird, you know, like making a money ticket into an experience ticket or vice versa. So how about we look at this whole system a little differently? Let's say there's an NPC that will allow you to swap your tickets, but for a fee. I am going to use Harmony as an example because Harmony is best girl, and this just feels like something Hotlantis would do in my opinion. Let's say it's 1000 G to swap a drink ticket and 2000 G for a food ticket. Maybe we could even take this a step further and upgrade food tickets for 5000 G. In a similar vein to that idea, what if merch could exchange ability chunks? Think of it like this. You give merch a certain amount of ability chunks, let's say 3, and in return, you get 1 ability chunk of your choice. The 3 ability chunks don't need to be the same type either, making it easier to do, but still putting you at an overall loss so you'll still have to go through the grind, albeit a much shorter one. Would this exchange also cost money? I'm not sure. maybe it would cost something like 3000 G or 5000 G, but I don't see a point in making it any more than that. Going back a bit, since we talked about Harmony, as you're probably well aware by now, Harmony's in charge of both Hotlantis and the catalog. Now, Hotlantis sells locker items, but that's not what we're here for. Though, just as a little bonus, I think that if they're gonna sell locker items, we should probably get something like plushies of the characters in-game, like the idols, or give us amiibo for scanning them in the game. I think it'd be really cool to see the little idol shrines people make for like Callie and Marie, or Pearl and Marina, or maybe even Deep Cut if they ever get amiibo, which I'm sure they will. Anyway, enough about locker items. The reason we're here is to do with a completely different feature in the game, Table Turf Battle. Table Turf cards are hard to get, to say the least. You can only really get them through certain catalog levels, and if you get a 4% chance on the Shellout machine, so completing your set of cards is really difficult. On top of the Shellout packs being a random chance, that machine also costs 30,000 G a use? Who on the dev team thought that was a good idea? I mean, seriously, between buying and raising the star power of gear, scrubbing slots for ability chunks, and Harmony constantly bleeding me dry so I can get the golden 1 million waifu badge, saying that I'm short on cash is a huge understatement. 30,000 G for a 4% chance of getting a pack of random cards is just insane. Yes, you can use the bits from duplicates to make new cards, but those can get really expensive too. Bonus fun fact! Did you know that the G uses the name of the currency in Splatoon doesn't mean anything like gold, but actually it stands for Gesso. Gesso is a Japanese word meaning squid tentacles, or at least that's what the internet tells me. This information's known thanks to a file for the item in Mario Kart 8 where it appeared on the Urchin Underpass stage, being called TS_Gesso coin, though it's worth noting that it's mostly just referred to as cash outside of this one instance. So back to Table Turf cards. My proposal is that Hotlantis, much like a lot of real-life stores that are similar, start selling packs of Table Turf cards. This makes it much easier to complete the set, and it'll make getting any new cards they may add in the future much easier. If I had to price these packs, I think 1000 G or 2000 G is reasonable. Now, to prevent players from just stocking up on cash and getting all the cards immediately, which I don't know why you'd want to do that, but hey, gotta keep people playing somehow, the devs could limit the sell to 5 packs a day. If you're someone that collects something like Pokemon cards that's been to any large retail store in the past few years, you know how painfully accurate this is. So those are some things I want Splatoon 3, ranging from gear, new features, and some quality of life improvements. If there's anything you'd have added to this list, let me know in the comments. If you want one of the things I talked about in this video to actually get added into the game, maybe if enough people ask Nintendo, they'll add them in. Though, this is Nintendo we're talking about. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe. It helps me know that you appreciate the video and lets me know that you want to see more. Anyway, that's all for now. I'll see you all next time.